The strongest off-field DPS in the entire game, Durin. His full banner is out and he looks broken. In this video, we'll be covering his best teams, builds, and most importantly, how good he actually is for your account. So let's get started. Durin's build. Here are his pre-farm materials. Most of the time, you want to build him as an off-field damage dealer, as he's looking to be as good as Mavuika or even better. His passive provides him extra vaporize and melt damage, and you always want to maximize it even more. His kit is intended as an off-field DPS who provides some buffs rather than a buffer who provides some damage. His best-in-slot artifact set is Crimson Witch of Flames. You can slot him with Noblesse Oblige since you'll be using his burst every rotation, giving 20% attack for Durin and the whole team. For stats, go with Attack Sands, Pyro damage Goblet, and Crit Circlet. Aim for 160% energy recharge as a solo Pyro unit and around 120 to 130% ER in dual Pyro teams. His signature weapon is just broken, one of the most balanced swords in the entire game, providing 16% burst damage bonus, 16% attack, and an additional 12% attack to the on-field DPS. This effect gets buffed by 75% if you are in Arcane State. If you don't know what Arcane State is, check out my previous breakdown video. Other solid weapon options include Skyward Blade for energy recharge, Mist Splitter, Freedom Sworn, and Absolution. For F2p players, his best-in-slot options are Moonweaver's Dawn or Xiphos Moonlight for reaction-heavy teams. Remember, his damage mainly scales with burst damage, so any weapon with burst DMG or general attack and crit stats works well. Now let's move to his basic rotation. Durin has two modes, white mode and black mode. Most of the time, you'll prefer playing him in white mode since it's more stable and provides a 20% resistance shred for the entire team. Keep in mind, this resistance shred only triggers through reactions like Burning, Overload, Pyro Swirl, and Pyro Crystallize. This means it only applies to Dendro, Anemo, Electro, and Geo. This shred can increase up to 35% in Arcane Stage. Keep in mind, this does not include Melt or Vaporize, so no Hydro or Cryo resistance shred. You start with Elemental skill, followed by Elemental Burst. You can play him in black mode when paired with units like Mona, or in reaction-heavy teams where Durin triggers Melt and Vape. This mode is recommended when you don't have an on-field DPS such as Mavuika or Arlecchino. To enter this mode, press normal attack after using his skill, then burst. Currently, he doesn't have a strong Melt team since there are no Cryo members in the Arcane group. And since you cannot play him in white mode for Cryo resistance shred, you are forced to play him in black mode to buff his Melt and Vape damage instead. So, whenever you play him in Melt or Vape setups, you always play him as the main damage dealer in black mode to get extra Vaporize and Melt damage for Durin himself. I want to repeat this point as it causes a lot of confusion. Durin in white mode only provides resistance shred when you trigger Burning, Pyro Swirl, Pyro Crystallize, and Overload. So in these setups, you always play him in white mode to get team buffs. But when you play him in Melt or Vape setups, you always play him in black mode to get more personal damage for Melt at Vape, which increases further in Arcane Stage.
Now, coming to his team options, Durin is looking to be the strongest off-field DPS comparable to Mavuika, and on top of that, he provides resistance shred, completely power-creeping Mavuika in off-field roles. He's now best in slot in Kinich, Mualani, and Chasca teams, replacing Mavuika. His synergy grows even stronger in Mualani teams, where you can unlock Arcane State with setups like Salonin, Sucrose, and Durin, or Salonin, Mona, and Durin. Keep in mind you always want to play Durin in black mode in Vaporize and Melt setups, as he does not resistance shred Hydro and Cryo, so it's better to play him in black mode, gaining his personal damage buff from his passive. He's also best in slot for Kinich and Chasca teams. Kinich teams can gain up to 35% Dendro and Pyro resistance shred if you play Durin and Klee together, but even without Arcane Stage, Durin is still a better option. His 20% resistance shred is equally valuable compared to Mavuika's attack buff, and his personal damage output is much higher. Talking about Chasca, her premium teams are Melt and Reverse Melt, where Durin works as a damage dealer in black mode and is still an overall upgrade.
Kinich and Mualani, after the addition of Durin, are now equally good as Flynn's and Nephra premium teams, which is huge, making them worth pulling even now in their rerun banners. Coming to older units, he works well with Noblesse Vape, replacing Mavuika in his teams as a better off-field DPS. But keep in mind, his resistance shred does not work in Vape and Melt setups, so only his personal damage applies, and the same goes for Wriothesley teams. Navia teams especially received one of the biggest buffs with Durin. You can even unlock Arcane Stage with Albedo, and since Albedo also provides up to 30% damage bonus, while Durin provides 35% resistance shred in Arcane Stage, the team's total damage skyrockets, making Navia as strong as the current Natlin units again. Chlorine's Overload and Electrocharge teams also got a huge upgrade, since you can now unlock Arcane Stage with Fischl and Durin in Overload setups. Fischl also provides extra damage buffing, making Chlorine's Overload teams far stronger than before. He's also best in slot for Arlecchino Overload teams, but you don't want to use him in Melt teams with Arlecchino since he can steal her Melt reactions and doesn't provide any buffs to her in Melt or Vape compositions. Basically, he replaces both Mavuika and Xiangleng in almost every team as an off-field Pyro DPS. He can even be paired with Mavuika in Overload teams, just not in Melt teams. For Black Mode, you should play Durin in Arcane Stage to maximize his personal damage. His best partners here include Mona and Sucrose as on-field reaction drivers. You can also run him alongside Albedo, Xilonin, and Bennett in double Geo setups. Currently, he doesn't have a strong Melt team due to the lack of Cryo members in Arcane groups, but he can still function as a main DPS in teams like Citlali, Sucrose, and Bennett, or as a pure Vape carry in teams like Furina, Mona, Durin, and Bennett, where Mona stays on field to extend her Omen buffs. Looking at more meta teams, he's also best in slot for Varesa Overload setups, replacing Mavuika. Since you always want to run Varesa with another Natlin character to unlock her passive, and Chevreuse is mandatory for her buff, you can't usually unlock arcane bonuses up to 35% resistance shred. But if you replace Ansem with Fischl, you can activate Arcane Stage, buffing your whole team's damage, while Fischl provides massive personal damage compared to Ansem. This makes the Fischl Durin variant actually stronger than Varesa's old premium team, which is huge. Even if you lose a bit of Varesa's direct buffing from Ansem, Fischl and Durin provide so much personal damage and resistance shred that the total team output surpasses it, making this Varesa's new best-in-slot team. Talking about Nod-Krai compositions, he doesn't synergize well with Flynn's or Lauma, as they don't benefit from Pyro and already have better support options available. For future teams, given his potential in Vaporize setups, he might pair excellently with Columbina, though that's still speculation since all we know is that she's Hydro. The same goes for Varka and Nicole, who are expected to introduce new ways to trigger Arcane Stage, since both are likely members of this group based on their lore. Overall, he's shaping up to be one of the most universal Pyro off-field supports in the game, and very likely the best-in-slot partner for Varka in future versions. Talking about his pull worth, he is a must-pull character for every account, as he buffs almost every Geo, Electro, Dendro, and Anemo character in the game thanks to his universal resistance shred. He can also be played as a pure damage dealer in Melt and Vape setups, especially with Noblesse and Wriothesley, even when he doesn't provide team buffs in those cases. If we rank him overall, Durin stands as an S-tier unit, right beside Xilonin, Furina, and Lauma, which is massive. So yes, he's a must-have for your account. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Till then, see you in the next one.